a lot of American fighters end up being divas, you know, oh no, I'm not coming, like, I'm like boxing, and like, oh no. Other countries, they got a bit more like, let's go on, let's have a go.
You started off working in McDonald's in East London.
From flipping burgers at McDonald's to becoming a world champion, Lawrence Okolie's journey is pure grit and determination.
Throw yourself in the deep end. We'll be surprised how much we can swim. One thing thinking it, another thing executing it. Go for it, you know, because on the other side of that hardship is the rewards.
Welcome to the BricksToRiches podcast. Today I have a very special guest, a guest who's got a phenomenal story, a story who started from humble beginnings, a phenomenal world champion boxer, Lawrence Okolie. Lawrence, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you for having me. We've been meaning to get on for a while and it's good we've got it done.
Definitely. But Lawrence, your story is phenomenal. It inspires millions of people around the world. You came from humble beginnings. You started off working in McDonald's in East London, and somebody who expects working at McDonald's will never think they'll become a world champion. What made you do that transition?
I think it was, there was a lot at play there. Obviously, I'm always thankful to God. But then in terms of actual like mindset and push, I think it was just believing in myself. You know, when I was working in the McDonald's, there was a particular day, I'd already started a little bit of training, but when I'd watched the 2012 Olympics, it was massive in England at the time, you know, you had it on, they had little toys with the Happy Meals and stuff like that. So it was Olympics crazy. And then I watched Anthony Joshua, Luke Campbell, Nicola, all of these guys win Olympic gold medals and said to myself, hold on a minute, I know their stories. They're all just boxers from around the way that have managed to go and do this, you know. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to, you know, dedicate myself. And from there, I pushed to try to get to Olympics. I was fortunate enough to get to the next one in 2016. Yeah. And then from there, I just, you know, every time I got a new win, a new something, I started to believe a bit more. And, you know, we just kept on going.
So the message is to anybody watching this podcast, if you've got a vision or dream, never give up, keep focused, keep on
100%.
going.
I think it's believe in yourself and consistency, because I think you can't be consistent if you don't believe in the journey that you're going on. And also you're not going to get to the end of the journey if you're not consistent. So I think you've got to believe in yourself. So that's what pushes you to kind of do the hard miles. You know, with the stuff that you do, it's not easy, you know, to look for properties, choose the right one, build it up. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes dealing with someone who doesn't really want to sell. You know, obviously you know more than I do about that kind of battle. But then you got to believe, I want to do something, or I'm going to be something, to go through those battles. And you've got to stay consistent on it. So it's the exact same thing with boxing. It's the exact same thing with anyone, I'm sure, that you've had on that's got any type of success. It's believing in yourself and staying consistent.
I agree with that. But do you ever go back to that McDonald's where you worked and see the people you worked with?
Yes, I have. You know, I think a couple of years ago I did something with McDonald's based around one of their burger releases and stuff. And they took us back, and there was still some of the people that I worked with working there. They were obviously excited and happy, and you know, it was kind of surreal, you know, going back and seeing it, the same, you know, break room, and you know, the TV that I watched it all on, and it was good.
So it's a great success story. That story, like somebody working at McDonald's and becoming a world champion, is like 1 in a trillion.
I don't know any other world champions that worked at McDonald's. Maybe they are and they haven't had their story said. But yeah, it's for me, it's quite, you know, when I do look back here and there, it does seem like a lifetime away, you know, and a bunch of battles and stuff like that to get to this point, and God willing more. But yeah, it's more like, you know, when people come up to me and they say, mate, I can't believe you came from McDonald's to this, and they tell me their stories and how much it's inspired them. That's the part that sort of, you know, catches me off guard, because I'm just living my life. I have my own dreams and aspirations, but to know that, you know, me focusing on myself and sticking on the positive path has got some, you know, benefits to people from my area or people who look like me or, you know, come from similar backgrounds. It's great.
So any kids watching, is the message is work hard, stay focused, and be disciplined, and never give up on your dreams.
100%. And also, why I go back to believing in yourself is because it's obviously been documented. When I was growing up, I suffered from bullying, and it was, you know, severe. It included, you know, getting beaten up. It included name calling, attacks on the street, stuff like that. And, you know, at that point, I had no self-belief, I had no confidence. And I couldn't really see life getting better. Or, when you dream about what you're going to be or what you're going to do, I never looked at myself and said, you're going to be a champion or you're going to be I used to just beat myself up.
I bet those kids who bullied you now never bully you now.
No, they don't, funny enough. I've seen a few of them, when I, after the Olympics and stuff, and they were like my biggest supporters. Wow, well done and everything. Blah, blah, and it's like, for me, obviously, I had to learn to let it go, and we were kids.
Because you're a bigger person.
Yeah, I had to get to that kind of mindset. Although, a part of me wanted to be like, don't you remember? Hey, here we are now. I'm big, I'm strong, I'm whatever else. But you have to just kind of let it go, and just continue to just push on your dream.
But you're a God-believing person, so am I, and I believe everything happens for a reason,
Agreed.
Lawrence.
Agreed.
God made you get through that bullying experience, because if it didn't, maybe you wouldn't have gone into boxing.
Facts, true, facts. I mean, I never really told this one in terms of one of the actual main, obviously the Olympics sort of push is what made me dedicate to boxing. Yeah. But actually, there was a time, obviously, my good friend and business partners here, and we were obviously in the same secondary school, and there was a day where there was some kid, and we had a supply teacher. And bear in mind, I was a big guy still. I was like 120 plus kilos, whatever, as a kid, just overweight. And then there was a kid in the class, and those kids, naughty, gang, whatever else. And I remember thinking, not today. So he's throwing pens and stuff at people all lesson. And I was thinking, that's just not me. Just not I was just, you just told yourself today is the day I'm gonna lose it. Went through the whole lesson. He didn't throw anything at me. Right at the end of the lesson, I felt the sharpest pain in my eye. Bang! I thought my eyes cut. I look up. One of my close friends is there, and I'm like, what happened? He's like, it was this boy did it. He just threw, and it threw one of those big anthology sort of books hit me in the eye. So I remember thinking, damn, it had to be him. I know there's gonna be consequences with what I'm about to do, but I can't. So I'm running through the school playground, whatever, and then I see him, and I'm hoping with all my heart that he says, I'm sorry. No. As soon as I got up to him, he starts throwing punches. So we get into a little fight. I remember dropping him, and then just going about my day. I got excluded, whatever. But then there was a kid there that his name's Ryan Fay. He was a boxer for Lions Amateur Boxing Club, and he came up to me when I came back, and he's like, I saw that fight. I'm telling you. Got to come down to the boxing gym. I remember thinking, I don't know nothing about boxing, I'd heard of Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, but he's like, you got to come down. And I was like, yeah, maybe sometime. And he just stayed on me for like maybe 2 weeks. It's only £1, you got to come down to the thing. And then one day he said, I'm going to pay for your session, just meet me after school, we'll just go straight to the gym. And I remember just saying, all right, fine. And I went. And then as soon as I got to the gym, I just fell in love with it, because it's the first. I tried to play football. I tried to play all other sports. I wasn't any good. As soon as I got to the gym, the coach was telling me, "Great, wow, it's a great jab. That's great power." And I remember just thinking to myself, "Oh my!" Whether he's lying or not, I just like the feeling of they're believing in me. And then the last one is we were doing a circuit at the end. Push-ups, sit-ups, and I think it was like 10 push-ups. The 10s. Yeah. And I remember struggling to get 5 out and then trying to stop. And then the boxer started screaming, no, he said 10. You got to do... And I remember battling through to get the 10. Yeah. And it's like, throughout my whole life beforehand, if I was meant to do 10 and I did 5 and that's all I could do, that's what I'll do. Yeah. That's the first time I'm being pushed. No, he said 10. And I got through it and I was just like, this is amazing. This is the best. And then from there, I just went every session. And then it went from having to have people tell me do 10 to me wanting to do 10, maybe 12, maybe 15. So it started to build that sort of, those sort of habits within myself. And then, we went from there.
So you got out of your comfort zone basically, because you're 5 and then went to 10. Mm-hmm. So you only grow when you're out of your comfort zone. So the message to everybody, if you want to evolve as in any aspect, whether it's business, whether it's sports, get out of your comfort zone.
100%. And throw yourself in the deep end as well. I think we'll all be surprised how much we can swim. And I'm sure you've experienced it in your own life. I know I definitely have. Where sometimes, certain things push you. As you said, everything happens for a reason. It pushes you into hard situations. Maybe, I don't know, a house. Something happens. you have to believe in yourself, throw yourself in the deep end, and just go for it. You know, because on the other side of that hardship is, you know, the
Because if you didn't
rewards.
get bullied and you didn't have that fight,
That
you wouldn't have gone to the
fight,
boxing
that
gym.
boxing gym, yeah.
So when the door closes, the door opens.
Agreed. So I went from, oh, my eyes cut.
Yeah.
I'm so upset. I'm so embarrassed. I've had a fight. I'm excluded. Me not knowing at that time that my teacher. Yeah, when I think about it, it's actually crazy saying it out loud.
Yeah.
But if that teacher didn't go, or didn't have whatever made them miss that session, that lesson, if he didn't come in that day, if he didn't throw that book, hit me in the eye at that time, I probably never would have been in boxing. I would have just been doing whatever. But
Everything's God's timing, isn't it?
agreed. So yeah, I just it's crazy, yeah.
And last summer, you were on a plane with my brother traveling to south of France.
Yes.
My brother told him, I rang him, he said, who have you got on the podcast? I said, I've got Lawrence Okolie. He goes, I know him. I was sat on the plane with him. And I was offered to buy him food and drinks. And Lawrence was so focused, ask him that question, that he was so focused that he said, no, I'm on training, and then just get me a bottle of water. And he didn't say, you said nothing to sandwiches or nuts.
Yeah.
So how do you stay laser-like focused? Because any career, whether you're a boxer, whether you're a businessman or anything, you need to have discipline and focus. Yeah. So what gives you the drive, brother, to stay so focused?
I think in boxing it's maybe easy for me because you're risking your life in theory against another grown man who's training. He's I don't know if you're allowed to, but training hard.
Yeah.
So you have to be focused. You have to be laser-like, and I think it's, you know, just wanting to go out and perform. I know that when I fight now, there's going to be millions watching, whether that's live, in the replays, whatever. And every fight matters, every punch matters. So there's every sandwich, nuts, whatever. So it's all good, yeah.
Good. So it's very important to stay focused in any career. One other thing, Lawrence, is that you got a title, a doctorate from East London University.
That's right, yeah.
That's phenomenal. Kid from McDonald's and went and got the doctorate.
Right.
So are you a PhD?
It's an honorary doctorate for my, I believe, contribution to sports or something, Tamba? Yeah, something like that. So because I was the first Olympian, or second Olympian out of that uni, first one to become a world champion, etc., etc. So they selected me for it, and, you know, I took it with both arms.
So that means I better call you Dr. Lawrence.
Dr. Lawrence, Okolie, yeah, agreed. I was going to change it legally in my passport, but I haven't got around to it yet.
So Dr. Lawrence, so look at you where you are now. You're here, and those bullies are here.
Yeah, man, it's night and day. You know, as you said, timing, consistency, mindset, you know, and not to put too much light on bullies and bullying, but a lot of times there's people who are going through their own struggles and their own sufferings, and, you know, they use you as an outlet for themselves and the pain that they feel within themselves. So, you know, you have to focus on yourself, and eventually you'll end up looking back at them feeling sorry for them as opposed to sorry for yourself.
So when's the next fight? When's the next one?
We're hoping for spring. We're looking at end of March, early April is when we're looking to be out. I think...
Who's your opponent?
We're still in negotiations, I believe. You know, I've said to them, I'm an open, whoever, you know. I know that I'm one fight, maybe two fights away from another world title shot, this time at heavyweight. So the door's open, you know, for anyone. There has been talks about, you know, Dylan White, which is one that would be nice for me. Do you know what I mean? I obviously have my own personal reasons.
He's from London as well.
He's from London as well. He's from South London.
Yeah.
You know, I always remember with him a few years ago when I was a cruiserweight, you know, British and Commonwealth, or trying to box for the British and Commonwealth champion, wanting to fight then, and like us having our little thing. And then I was kind of told by the team at the time, oh, no, he's heavy. Just leave that one. He's a heavyweight. Focus on winning your world titles and whatever else, like cruiserweight. So I always had to kind of stomach that. I always wanted that, but it wasn't possible at that time. Well, now here we are. You know, I'm a heavyweight now, and that's one that I would, you know, happily, you know, take him out. But
what do you think of the heavyweight division at the moment? Because if you look at it right now, if you look at Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua, I was there ringside, and I saw that fight, amazing. After that, Dubois came on the podcast, a very nice young man. He came on, so I'm happy he got the opening, because everyone deserves opportunity.
Of course.
And then obviously Fury versus Usyk, he lost. So what do you think of the heavyweight division? Because everybody's losing to Usyk.
It's crazy. You know, I saw a picture that Derek Chisora posted where was it there, and then there was all the defeated, British fighters that he's beaten. He's been on a great run of form and beaten a lot of all of the top guys that we have in England. And
do you think Usyk is Muhammad Ali is my personal favourite, best of all time? Right. Do you think people rating him, comparing him to Muhammad Ali? In my opinion, not. But you're an expert. Do you think he's the same level as Muhammad Ali or not?
I think what Muhammad Ali represented and stuff is bigger than how good he was in a boxing ring. So no, I don't think Usyk would even say greater, quote unquote, than Muhammad Ali. But if you look his accolades as a standalone, he's got some amazing accolades. Olympic champion, world champion as amateur, undisputed at cruiserweight, undisputed at heavyweight.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. He beat Anthony Joshua twice. He beat Tyson Fury twice. Do you think Tyson Fury, that last fight, Tyson Fury was thinking he won, but when I watched the fight again and watched the statistics in AI, he did not win.
Yeah, watching it live, I thought that was it won. Watching it live, I said it, then and there. I think one thing about Tyson Fury, he's an amazing fighter. But I just think that unfortunately there's just some things that it does that it's just hard to.
I think the speed and the
agility, and also the tenacity. People kind of underrate how much you land a shot. He says, "Okay, I'm gonna land two more. Like it might not be I'm gonna knock you out, but it's gonna be you've landed a punch. I'm not.
That's the point. That's the point. That's the point for Usyk.
Exactly. So he's there, boom. So you landed one, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna.
He's giving me a combination.
Right. So it's like,
Usyk throws punches and bunches.
He throws punches and bunches, clever shots, moves the right way. Now watching it live, I was like, because I've watched him on TV, obviously, all of his fights, because I was a cruiserweight and he was world champion at the time. Then he went up to heavyweight. He's boxing all these British guys. So I've watched all of his fights, and it's like he does the same thing every time, but it's hard for people to compete with. So he's always, in people's faces, working, not crazy power, but enough. And then when he gets to the latter part of the fight, he just kicks it into another gear. Where other people get tired, he maintains, and that's how he's won a lot of his fights.
I was reading something about Usyk that when he trains, he does 4-minute rounds. He does 15 rounds, and he touches the ropes. He starts again. The time.
No way. That's a good one. Well, I mean, it shows. If that's true, if he does it once in a while. But one thing you got to say is you look at him and you say it's conditioning, it's mindset. Because he's going in there against much bigger guys. I saw him in person that day, and I was like, this guy is he's smaller than me. But he's in there competing with Anthony Joshua, Derek Chisora, Dan Dubois, all of these guys. You know what I mean?
What do you think of the British fighters, Lawrence, who lost against him? They throw the toys out the pram. When Anthony Joshua lost, he threw his toys out the pram. Tyson Fury threw his toys out the pram and didn't stay in the ring for the interview, and then claimed he won. They're not humble in defeat. A true athlete should be humble in defeat or victory. Do you not agree with that?
I do, of course, I agree with that. I think, listen, I'm not in any of their heads, and those are the biggest stakes in the world, legendary status. And unfortunately, if you come up short, maybe I don't know what that feels like. So I don't know what went on in their lives, but definitely, I think I think watching him and fighting him must be two different things.
Yes.
Because I think every time I've watched him fight, I just think, why don't people just do this?
Yeah.
And I think this guy obviously just watched. So I've watched, let's say, Dan versus AJ, or they've all boxed him. So you watch Derek Chisora and you think, if only Derek had done this, he would have won.
Yeah.
Or you watch Tony Bellew fight him and you say, he would have. So you think the next person's going to get it, then the next person gets in and loses it. And then also him beating a couple of those guys twice, AJ and Tyson Fury. It's like you'd think AJ and Tyson Fury would just be able to make the tweaks to beat him, but he just. So, you got to hand it to him. But
Daniel Dubois, when he had a fight with him, I don't think that was a low belt. I think he won that.
I don't think so either. I think
he won that.
I think so too. I think, would Usyk have maybe got up if he started getting a count? Maybe. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard to kind of say, but hey, maybe that changes the momentum of the fight. We don't know. But, I think that's one of the only ones where there's a question mark. With all the other fighters, he beat them quite convincingly on points. With Dan, obviously, still stopped him later on. But there was that good moment. So, yeah.
And also, Dr. Lawrence, what do you think of social media fighters, YouTubers? For example, let's say everybody works for money.
Yeah,
Like,
of
so
course.
I'm a property expert. Someone said to me now, fly to Australia, you're going to make a property deal, and you're going to flip it and make 10 million, fly tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, see you later.
Yeah. So let's say Jake Paul said to you now, forget your fight you're having around Easter time. I want to fight you, shouts you out, calls you out, and says, I'll give you $20 million.
See you there. No, but I mean, listen, obviously me and Jake have a relationship, but if you talk about boxing, YouTube boxing, as it were, although I do give him more credit than that, because he's at least fighting, although, Mike Tyson's a lot older, he's at least fighting some sort of combat athletes as opposed to other YouTubers nowadays. But I think there is a place for it, because as I've seen, there's been a lot more eyes on boxing. However, I don't think I should be allowed in the ring with any sort of, boxer that's come from YouTube, or that's not a, like, quote unquote real boxer, because obviously it would be super dangerous for them.
Yeah, but the public want it. So about the public. If the public want to watch a fight and they want to put it on Netflix and they're offering you big money, of course you'll take it.
100%. Yeah. I'm saying, of course I would. I just can't see anyone being stupid enough to do that. However, of course, because at the end of the day, we do it for legacy, but then you also do it for money. So of course, you got to follow the money sometimes.
Money's very important. Money's a key driver.
Of course.
Now, also, what about when you've had fights, like in December last year, you beat that Muhammad fella, didn't you?
Right.
And then you had one defeat before that.
Yeah.
How do you recover from defeat? Because some people, when they have a defeat, they basically take it personally and they can't evolve again. You're here, you beat Muhammad, you got the title back, and you're onwards and upwards.
Right.
So any fighters, anybody who recovers, how do you recover from a loss?
I think it's a mixture of things. Obviously, it depends on how you lose, I think. But I think the main thing is being honest with yourself. So I have built myself up to be a winner. I always feel like a winner in and outside of the ring. So I think a couple of things that help me is, one, being realistic and true with myself, in the sense of like taking, a lot of people, boxing is the most important thing, it's like, my passion, my job, my whatever. However, I don't look at myself as Lawrence Okolie, the boxer, full stop. It's like I'm Lawrence Okolie, the boxer, the father, the businessman, the friend, the son. So I look at myself as a whole, and it's like, unfortunately, I might slip up in this factor, but I'm still a good person, quote unquote. My version of a good person. I'm still important. I'm still me. Do you know what I mean? I just wasn't able to perform on a particular day. That's it. So that helps me to protect myself, in the sense of,
when you don't perform on a particular day, is that down to having a bad day, or is it a lapse of concentration, 1 second lapse of
it could be it depends on the fight. I mean, the one that I had, I think there was obviously a mixture of stuff which I never really get into. I was dealing with like legals. I was gonna go to court that day with match. There's just a bunch of different stuff. However, I think that when it comes to losing, you have to be able to internalize and make it. What did I do? What could I have done differently? Because I think a lot of times we've seen the likes of Deontay Wilder, who was on an unbelievable streak, 41-0, however many KOs, and then he took a loss, and then you saw it sort of break him in the sense of like,
he lost to Tyson Fury, lost to that Zhang.
But I'm talking about the Tyson Fury ones more. It's like, not to speak too much on someone else, but it's like, there's some people who, when you take a loss, it's like, I messed up. I need to work on this. I'm gonna come back. And there's some people that say, they did. Yeah. The ref, the weight of my vest.
The blame it.
Right. So you can't really look inwards and say, what, I had messed up.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it's
I like that philosophy. I like that psychology.
I think that's where it's a lot harder to overcome defeat, because you haven't really internalized within yourself. Like, what? So when the time comes again, you just say to yourself, oh, well, if that person's not involved, or this person, this is going to be different. But then you haven't explored the stuff within yourself, so then you come unstuck again. Where there's some fighters and some
like
people,
Deontay Wilder, that one against Zhang, that's a schoolboy error. Why turn your head to
all of these things?
Even Anthony Joshua, the defeat to Dubois, why have you chin in the air?
Right.
Dubois clipped him.
Right. And
there's a schoolboy error.
Agreed. So it's like, if you're not able to look at those and say, I made a schoolboy error.
Yeah.
I should have. Yeah. So if you're going to keep fighting, the next one, your chin's down a little bit. You kind of learn from it. Do you know what I mean? And then allow yourself, forgive yourself, number one. That's one thing I had to do, when I lost, because I've been on such a great streak, I had to tell myself, instead of wallowing in it and being, oh my God, I lost. It's like, I lost. What am I going to do from here? Plan it out, and then just say to yourself, you messed up, forgive yourself, brush yourself off, and go out and do your thing. So that's kind of what I did, and I pushed on, and I'm happy with where I'm at.
Good. But Dr. Lawrence Jones with AJ and Deontay Wilder, I think after their defeats, they've lost the mojo now.
I think.
Also, they made the money, so it depends. If you've got, for example, if you're happy with making 100 million, for example, and you've got it in the bank, you might be saying, I haven't got the drive anymore. But if you want to make $1 billion, you say, I want to keep on going.
Yeah, of course.
That's like if you see kids from the streets, they've got hunger and desire, they want to work harder.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got someone like Mayweather or Amir Khan, they've already got cash in the bank. They might think, I can't be bothered, can't be asked anymore.
Agreed. Well, I think that's where someone like Mayweather, despite what anyone thinks about him, he goes down in history as one of the best ever, because despite making all that money, he just kept it consistent.
Yeah.
Won his 50 fights, never slipped up one day. And I think,
but he carefully hand-selected his fights.
I agree, he did near the end. I would all agree with that. But then still, you could box anyone. I'm telling you that in terms of boxing, although yes, you're meant to win, in a sport where you're punching each other in the head, any one mistake could end the fight. And
he's got the best defense in the game.
Got the best defense, and moreover, in terms of like just boxing in general and just getting them up, it is partly a confidence sport as well. I've seen so many fighters who are fantastic. Great fighters, but then they don't believe in themselves when it's time, when it matters.
Audley Harrison, an example of that. He was a gold medalist, and they kept saying getting battered in the ring.
Right, and it's just like you've obviously got the skills.
Yeah.
But it's time to execute it. So one thing I always pray for before I go out is like the confidence to do what I know I can do. Because I've seen it happen. As I said, I've sparred people, and then seen them fight and been like, whoa, you're different from like when we're in the gym, you're fantastic. But
because the camera's not on them.
The pressure's not on.
People are watching.
Right, and it's like one thing I've had to sort of get to grips with is relishing the pressure and kind of like really enjoy, and then locking in. So with the defeat that I had, one thing I realised is, after the fight, I was kind of just in la-di-da land, I've got a fight, I'm walking through the crowd, and I'm just like, okay, this is boxing, and then the bell goes, and then you're in a fight, and it's like, it's a real fight now. Yeah. And it reminded me, you have to lock in every time, and also believing that you'll beat someone, knowing you'll beat someone.
Manifestation.
Manifestation. But it's like, say for example, there's a deal to be done over there, and you got all of the gift of the gab, you got a great product, you got this great house, and you should have it done. I should go get that deal wrapped up and be back on the plane in a day. Yeah. One thing thinking it, another thing executing it. So you can't just wish stuff into. You have to also go out and walk the walk. You have to go out and talk the talk. You have to go out and fight the fight. So that's one thing that I've sort of developed and learned, and sort of this last chapter as well. It's very much, I no longer look at someone and say, I'll beat him, like just easy, like I'll beat him. I know I can say, I should beat him, but I have to go and do it. So every time I go out to a fight now, I'm going to change room. That's why I'm so nervous and so pumped, because it's like, it's not I should, it's like I have to go and do it. From when that bell goes, I have to be looking at that man. I have to be knowing this is what my job is to do. Go out and do it. So that's good.
And what do you think of being totally locked in 24/7? So if you look at, for example, Mayweather, he's focused. He doesn't drink. He doesn't party. I've been to Vegas with Amir Khan and him in the club. Mayweather's there, not drinking, just pulling wads of cash out and throwing it everywhere. But and if you look at a lot of Muslim fighters like Betaviv, and they're very focused. They don't drink. They don't womanize. They're focused on the job. So if you've got somebody who's living like a monk, but then somebody who just lives like a monk whilst they're on camp, but the rest of the time they're getting pissed, dating random women, then obviously you're going to lose focus.
No, agreed.
So the guy who's living like a monk, he should have the edge over the other guy.
Agreed. I think there is a point where if two people are both extremely talented and they're even in every way, it becomes what, my business partner always says, lifestyle versus lifestyle, where it's like you can't beat them on talent. So for example, I do think in the fight with Tyson Fury and Usyk, that's what it really came down to, because Tyson Fury is one of the most naturally talented fighters we've seen in God knows how long. Can box southpaw, orthodox, tall, move, but then
very versatile, very fast,
very fantastic fighter. but then he comes up against Usyk, who's very talented himself, but he wins it on
speed, accuracy,
and work.
Yeah.
Like from round 1 to round 12, he's done his 4-minute rounds, 15 of them. So he's been a month. You can't do that if you're not living the life. You can't just do that with 3-month camp. You got to be grafting all year round and kind of never take a break. And a
prime example of that, Dr. Lawrence, and other athletes, not boxing. If you look at Cristiano Ronaldo and Wayne Rooney, because I used to train at the same gym as them, at the same gym in C Space in Cheshire. And then Ronaldo looks really cool, young, athletic, still playing high level football.
Right.
And Rooney has gone really fat and overweight, and Rooney's older than him. That shows lifestyle.
Right.
And no, you look very fit, strong.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're gonna push. We're gonna push definitely. I think, you know, especially now with like, although in boxing I think S&C is fantastic. It has helped to keep the longevity of fighters. I do think old school fighters had maybe a little bit more grit and a bit more dog, but they couldn't go on as long as, you know. I know obviously I had George Foreman, but overall now because of, you know, stretching therapy, you know, we're able to
modern science, modern research.
Modern science has helped fighters, you know. Look,
like cryotherapy, ice baths.
Look at
biohacking.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
It's like you just get your body analysed, you put different machines, it's all try and make it look younger.
Okay, fair enough. So
inside out.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, you look at someone like pound for pounder in Terence Crawford. He's like 36 years old, but he's still able to compete at the highest level. Phenomenal. Right. And it's like, okay, he'll be 37 and you still expect him to be able to compete at that kind of level. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, nowadays fighters...
Because he had a fight with Amr Khan, he made him look ordinary. He had a fight with Kell Brook, he made him look ordinary.
Agreed again, yeah. So you can see he's an exceptional
That's
fighter.
Like a Usyk, Tyson
agreed.
Fury, same scenario.
Agreed. Where you could say, standalone, these guys are all great, but this guy just stands above them. So, you know, it's tough saying it with someone like Usyk who's around at the same time as me, although I do think he'll be retiring hopefully in the next year or so. It's you got to be realistic. The guy's done some amazing things, so hats off to him.
So, Dr. Lawrence, who's your favourite fighter of all time? If you had to share the ring with anybody from the history of all fighters, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Lennox Lewis, George Foreman, anybody who had a chance, a modern era, imagine they were around today, who would you fight?
My favourite
for
fighter,
legendary status.
My favourite fighter, both is probably the same answer. It's probably Lennox Lewis. Crazy enough, I just like when I watch him, I think to myself like he's, you know, the sort of intent, you know, just his mannerisms, you know, that young version of Lennox Lewis was like a lion. Do you know what I mean? Although yes, he, you know, might have lost some, won some, whatever, but it's like tall, good boxer, good mover, always up for it, game. So I'd say probably him. And then even in terms of fighting, him or obviously Mike Tyson, like just to, it's like, because you know some guys, you want to experience it. Like obviously I've sparred Dan DeBar, sparred Anthony Joshua, sparred these big hitters, sparring, fighting, two different things, but I've experienced their sort of power and I was thinking like, yes, great power, but is it what the legends felt like? It would be interesting to see, did Mike Tyson just hit unbelievably hard? Did Lennox, is it just something we've never seen in this generation, or is it same? I don't know. It'll be interesting. That would be it.
Would you ever take why not take mentoring from Lennox Lewis or Mayweather? You could go to Mayweather's camp, learn the defense. Yeah. You go to Lennox Lewis and get mentoring from him.
Me and him had a few discussions. Definitely. It's definitely something I look into, especially now moving up to heavyweight. I think he wasn't much bigger than myself, you know, when he was boxing. I think he might have been a little bit thicker as he got a bit older. But I'll probably build into a similar sort of frame to him. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, what was his thought process. He watched, actually to be fair, I saw him before my last fight and he gave me a few tips. Obviously I had my own game plan, but it's interesting to see how he looks at a fight and what he thinks you should do as opposed to what I look at. Everyone has a different eye for boxing.
Different angle, different viewpoint.
Yeah, so it's like, I think, that shot's there because I know my favourite shots, or when I time stuff, so another boxer might think, the left hook's there, or up like that, do you know what I mean? So it's interesting.
Where's your camp in the Dubai or UK?
It bounces around Dubai, Bahrain, Joe Gallagher, my coach, was talking about going to Portugal. It just depends, what where the fight is and what it calls for.
A lot of people love US, don't they? Well, because I used to go to Amir Khan's camp with Freddie Roach, and people used to rate Freddie Roach, especially with his illness. He was the coach of the year for 4 years consecutive.
Mad, So I think I've been there. I've trained with Sugar Hill for a few fights in Miami and Boca and in Florida. And that's good. It's got its perks. I think for cruiserweight, maybe heavyweight would be different. When I was a cruiserweight, there wasn't really that much work there. The best guy was probably Brandon Glanton, and I had him in, and but there's not like legions of them. And one thing as well, I found that a lot of American fighters end up being divas. I'm coming out, I might box him, and I don't know. Where other countries, they got a bit more like, let's go on, let's have a go.
Yeah, you're very humble. American fighters become like big superstars, don't they?
Yeah, before they're actually big superstars. I remember being world champion.
Yeah.
Asking to spar for you guys, and they were just, spar you. Very weird. But maybe it's just them. Maybe it's not all American fighters. I don't know.
Okay. And also, brother, what does your typical training day consist of?
When I'm in full swing, it would be like some sort of cardio, whether that's a run, whether that's a bike, whether it's sprint, whatever, to start the day, when I wake up. Maybe it's a bit different now because I don't have to make weight, so I'll do it in the evening, actually. In my last camp, it was in the evening. When I was making weight, I had to do it in the morning just to help with burning calories. But so I'll do like a boxing session to start the day.
How many hours?
It'll be like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Sparring or just pad work?
It depends. So the last camp, it was a 5-week camp. It was sparring every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, doing 10s, and like every 2 days. Well, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then back again Monday, Wednesday, Friday the week after. So it'll be like, an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what the session is. If it's like a boxing circuit, skipping, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours. If it's sparring, it might be an hour and a bit, because you wrap your stuff up and go to sort of work. So around that, then eat, rest, chill, stretch, and then
what about strength conditioning?
Yeah, either a strength or circuit session. So as in like weightlifting or like some sort of weight resistance training. So whether it's push up, sit up, that kind of circuit thing. So it'll be that, and then depending on the day, some days it'll be a long run, some days it'll be a sprint. It depends on the sort of program that we have, what we're looking to achieve in camp.
What about recovery? Recovery is very important.
Recovery is important. I like to do sports massage. I much prefer saunas than ice baths. I hate ice baths. I'll do it if I'm forced into it, but I'd much rather, a sauna, stretch, and go from there.
Ice baths are hard.
They are hard. They are hard, and it's like, I remember there was one day I was at Umar's house and they were doing ice baths there, and then they're like, "Oh, you should get in." I was like, "No," and they're like, "No, you got to. Like, come on, your boss are the." I remember before I got in, and they had the ones where it's like there's a man there or like a team there, and they don't you dare get out and whatever. One of those days, and I remember they showed me a video. Fortunately, one of the people there showed me a video and said, "Make sure you don't try to get out. Look at this." And he showed me some boxer from Dubai trying to jump out, and they're dragging him back in. And I was like, I can't be that guy. So when I get in, no matter how hard it is, I'm just going to suck it up. Because you're not allowed that
It's all about the breath, isn't it? You have to
breathe.
breathe.
Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah, 100%. When you get in, you have to maintain. You have to. 100%. Breathing is like the most important thing there. Because you're in shock, and it's like your body just wants to get me out. But it's like you have to just fight through it. And you're going to get over it at some point.
If you don't do it properly, you can die from that.
I've heard. Hopefully, we don't have no issues like
exactly.
that. Or I just stay in the sauna.
Sauna's good.
Yeah, I like it. Sauna, steam. Yeah, it's more chilled.
And how does religion play a part in your life as training as an athlete? Because I'm an entrepreneur, I pray 5 times a day, I'm a Muslim, and I basically ask God for goodness. And I say, if I'm buying this deal, I make a prayer to the universe. If this deal's good for me, make it happen. If not, let it fall away.
Right.
So do you, like, when you get in the ring, do you pray to God? What do you do?
Yeah, definitely. I think... Because
you don't want to obviously get hurt, and you being a God-fearing person, you don't want to hurt your opponent.
And that's the main prayers when it comes to boxing that I do. It's like, please, obviously I want to win.
Yeah.
But it's like, pray for my protection, my opponent's protection, to make it out of the ring.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, I pray for focus and determination. The last few fights, the prayers have been insane. I'm nearly crying because it's like there's so much on the line now, and it's for me. Do you know what the hardest thing with boxing is knowing that I'm very good. So it's like having that sort of knowledge within myself. I'm in the gym doing this. I've sparred this guy doing that. I'm good. Like, so the thing is do it on the day where it matters. There's no point in everyone in the scene saying, Lawrence is I sparred Lawrence. And then on the day you're not putting in great performances. So I pray always like allow me to just show how good I am. So it's my protection, my opponent's protection. Let me show how good I am. Let me be proud of myself after the fight. And those are the main ones. So I think it's a massive part, because a lot of times, you're under a lot of pressure yourself. Yeah. You're like, it's like there's only so much that as a man I feel like, of course you believe in yourself, but there's only so much I can do myself, because it's not up to me, number one.
There's a divine force.
Right. So it's like, allow me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, like, look, at the end of the day, it's a sport. He's trying his best. He's probably praying as well, but I'm begging you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let me get this win. Let me get this. Yeah. Let me do this. Let me do that. And I think that you have to also be worthy of what you're asking for. You can't put in no work, not train, eat burgers, be on planes, and people say, do you want a snack? And you eat the snack, and then on the day say, please let me win. Yeah. It's like, what do you deserve? I don't think you do deserve it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think you...
Because all the scriptures it says, Dr. Lawrence, in the Quran and the Bible, God helps those who help themselves. Agreed. So if you want to become rich, you have to work hard.
Of course.
Money won't land on your table.
No, of course not.
If you want a six-pack, you can't just say, God, give me a six-pack. You have to put the effort in.
Agreed.
Same with the boxing. If you want to become world champion, you have to live like a boxer.
Agreed. And then that last helping hand to just get over the edge. Yeah. That's what they're there for. That's how I see it,
Because one thing I observed, because I've had a lot of boxers on my podcast, is a lot of boxers are spiritual. They pray. Tyson Fury prays. Usyk prays. You pray. Everybody prays.
Yeah, agreed.
I think because they feel that connection in the ring, don't they, with God?
Agreed. It's a very mental, physical, spiritual, emotional sport. Yeah. It's one where it's like one of the most natural things to do is to have a fight. Since before boxing was boxing, our ancestors, they both wanted that, woman. They both wanted that bit of meat. And they can't talk about it. It turns into a fight. Yeah. So I think in nature, whether it's animals, whether it's fighting, is innate. So it's
and boxing close to death. One punch could kill you.
100%. And that's a reality that we all live with. And just we're not saying we act like it's not there. We're all aware of it, but we just not me. Yeah. So it's like, it's very much like all or nothing every single time. And that's why, for me, it took years for my friends to really get to grips with what I'm like in training camp and why, because outside they say, oh, this is funny, he's fighting, and fight time or fight thing, it's like completely different. It's like when it's time for work, it's just like deadpan, just... I can laugh on that in the moments or whatever else, and I don't like to. But it's still
time to work. Then you focus later.
You're locked in. Oh, that's the same guy. Like I used to watch my fights and say, "Is that me?" Like, because I don't see myself as like some aggressive. Like, I'm some master. But it's just I'm Lawrence Okolie. I train and I have a fight. But when I watch my fights back, sometimes I say, "Oh my god, I really like."
You must be proud of yourself.
I am. Like,
because you've got the ability to switch it on or switch it off.
Agreed.
You get tuned in.
Agreed. More so. Yeah. These last, few fights, I've started to really kind of just be like, you know what, like, hats off, because there's a lot of boxers who want to be world champion that haven't been able to get there. There's a lot of boxers who are good, but they don't have the discipline or the drive or the ability on the day where it matters to think. I've watched some fighters who I look at and say, oh, they're really good, lose before they ever get there. So I have to look at myself and say, I didn't do it once, I did it twice, won world titles. I'm looking to do it a third time. And as I said, man, I am proud of myself, because people that, we all say, oh, he's great. They all know within them, like, when Lawrence is good. So it's like, I'm just so close to really showing that next stage. Don't get me wrong, like, I'm happy with how my career's gone to date, but I just feel like there's a bit more that's got to show. You know, we're getting closer and closer to me performing the way that we need to, but it's I think this last little period is really going to show.
So, Dr. Lawrence, now you had various belts. What belts have you held in the past, and what do you hope to get in the future before you throw the towel and before you retire?
Yeah, well, I mean, as a cruiserweight, you know, I won the British title, Commonwealth title, European, and then World WBO title, cruiserweight.
Wow.
Then I moved up, won the WBC Bridgerweight full world title, so that was my 2 world championships, and then moved up to heavyweight and won the WBC silver world champion. So it puts me like number 3 in the world. So Usyk, Zhang Kabayel, then myself, and those 2 are fighting. So God willing, you know, one of them wins, then it'll be me, and then Zhang or Kabayel, and then depending on what Usyk does, it'll either be me versus Zhang or Kabayel for a full world title, or it'll be a semi-final for Usyk. But it depends on how the next, 6 months and 6 to 12 months go.
And when would you want to throw the towel in? At what stage of your career?
You know, I try my best nowadays not to sort of look at retirement, but if I'm honest with you, I would say, I've watched a lot of my favourite fighters sort of decline at 35, 36. So it'd be good to sort of be at the 34, 35 mark, depending on how I feel and how, I'm performing and, but I think that's my safe sort of stop. Yeah. But then, as we've said earlier, there's strength and conditioning, there's recovery, so you can go on a little bit longer than maybe they could 10 years ago.
Yeah, however, because the science behind it, you can have the extra firepower.
Yeah.
But me, as a successful entrepreneur, my advice to you as a brother would be to retire at the peak of your career.
I think so.
And leave a legacy.
I think so.
Not on a defeat.
Agreed, and that's why someone like Usyk, I hope his wife is telling him, mate, you've done enough.
Yeah.
So that he can leave the belts and go on and have this legacy.
He's got enough money.
He's got more than enough money.
Yeah.
And the fact is, this generation will always say Usyk was the best fighter in this. And then you can argue he could have beaten this and that person. But there's always that thing, as opposed to you put in all this great work and then you lose to just like a random heavyweight because you were just a bit too old that day. You don't want to give someone that kind of that kind of thing. Like, do you know what I mean? But hey, we'll see.
What do you think of boxing moving to Riyadh? Because a lot of my friends who are boxers, they say they go there, they don't enjoy it. They went to Wembley, for example, Dubois and Joshua. They said it was buzzing the atmosphere.
Of course, yeah.
They said you don't get the same atmosphere. It's like a party. Wembley was.
Agreed. I think it's like anything. It's got to build. Yeah. It's like anything. It's like paddle tennis. If you've seen it, here. It's just like you have to be introduced to it. It has to build, and then it becomes a massive deal. I think that boxing is not something that is really synonymous with the region. So they are getting into it. So the show I went to last, which was obviously Fury and Usyk, was better than the one I went before, and that was better than the one I went before. So they're constantly getting better. The fans are getting a lot more engaged.
But it's not the same vibe, but like Wembley.
Of course not. Of course, because England has been doing boxing for hundreds of years. Yeah. So it's like there's generations and generations of boxing fan base, boxing energy.
And people can't travel. People can't afford to come to Riyadh. And a lot of boxing fans like to drink and get pissed. You can't do that. You can't do that in Riyadh.
No, agreed. Yeah, and I think I think it's something that they will build. I think they'll build their own sort of market here. Yeah. So as you know, anywhere in the world you go, it's different. So when I went to Poland, it was crazy there, crazier than it is in England. It doesn't mean that they're better at boxing, whatever, but they got like a more like intense, like they're with their fighters. Yeah. So yeah, I guess it depends. What I forget, but in terms of for boxers, fantastic. Everyone's getting paid more, and they're putting in fights that people want to see. I don't think we ever would have seen an AJ versus Dubois at Wembley if not for Riyadh season. I don't think we would have seen, Usyk versus all of these fights, except for being mandated. A lot of fighters, they know how dangerous other fighters are, so they say, "No, why would I box him? I'll just carry on being world champion boxing that guy." But Riyadh is just like, "Hey, here's this money I want to see, and we want to see."
They're allowed 600 billion towards sports.
Wow, That's
big money.
Yeah, huge money.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't know it was that much.
But do you know what Turkey wants to do? He wants to host Fury versus Anthony Joshua basically in Riyadh. But if he did it in Wembley, it'll be huge. I don't think Riyadh won't be big.
No, it won't be as big. I think people would still travel for it. I think it'll be the biggest one they've done in Riyadh.
But it won't be as big as Wembley though. Wembley will be like Anthony Joshua Dubois.
Of course, as we've seen countless times. I mean, Tyson Fury's boxed. I'm sure he boxed Chisora and White there. AJ's boxed how many times? 100%. And I think for British fans, of course, you want it to be right on the doorstep. You stroll down and have a watch. But obviously, for the fighters, they're thinking, "Where's the most money?" But I think that's a fight that doesn't quote unquote need to be in Riyadh, because obviously Red Season now is able to
go anywhere in the world.
So
it can be a roadshow anywhere. It can be in Dubai. It can be anywhere.
Agreed. And it's one of those ones where it's so big, been talked about for so many years, and also the only thing that people say kind of gets in the way is that they all lost to Usyk.
Yes.
But it's like, okay, well, they all lost to him now, so let's just see what the.
It's just a payday. It's just a payday for the boys.
Yeah, agreed, man. Yeah. You know what? They put in 10 years of good work. I think when I was qualifying for the Olympics, AJ was just winning the world title. So that was 2015, 2016. He won the thing. Well, now in 2025. So it's been like 8-9 years. These guys have been putting in, or 10 years they've been putting in good performances. Look at Derek Chisora. All of these guys, they put in a hard miles for a long time. So, seeing them get paid before they leave, why not?
But I want you to make a lot more money than them because you're a nice guy and you deserve it. You're very humble.
Thank you. It'll be nice. Yeah.
And Dr. Lawrence, one other thing, AI in boxing. AI is the future of everything.
Oh, agreed, yeah.
It's because back in the day, there used to be a lot of corruption in boxing. Now, people are saying AI is going to change it. For example, AI is going to say, if you have a fight, Dr. Lawrence does, let's say, with Wilder, AI will work out exactly how many punches you land, how many points. There's no cheating.
Right.
It's like with cricket. There used to be cheating. They used to say you bowled this time, but you don't. But they have the third camera now. They can say. So the AI will sort everything out. What's your view of AI in boxing?
I think obviously it's going to take a while for to trust it. Same way I'm sure it was like that in football, like that in cricket.
Yeah.
But once it's trusted, it's like it's great. There is always that feeling of you need a bit of a human touch.
Yeah.
To see, like,
you could do both. You could do human touch.
Agreed. I think so. And I think, let's say, I don't know, I'm just freestyling here with you, but let's say the judges call it a draw. Okay, let's go to the final judge of the AI, because there is stuff that maybe AI won't be able to tell, like pain in someone's face and like, do you know what I mean? And how much they want. I don't know. But to be fair, I use ChatGPT for almost anything, so why can't AI judge a boxing match?
Exactly, good. I think it'll get rid of that illusion of corruption in boxing.
Agreed. There is definitely that part.
And so, Dr. Lawrence, also, I was reading that you wrote a book.
Yes.
So that's very inspiring. Can you tell me what that book's about?
It's a 42 step sort of guide to, it's sort of like a self-help book. It spoke about what it is. Instead of it being like an autobiography, which I didn't want to do, it's more like here's these lessons to sort of change your life, whether it's believing in yourself, whether it's... So it goes through anecdotes of my life, whether it's getting bullied, working at McDonald's, having a fight, my first fight, and what I needed to do and what I learned from it to sort of hit those targets and go beyond. So it's like, read it. And it's one of those books you're meant to read.
Is it an online book or is it ebook or is it a physical book?
We've obviously got the narrated version, we've got the online, we've got the hardback, we've got the paperback,
Okay, because people are watching this podcast, so I recommend everyone to watch this book if you want to learn from it and evolve in your life. Yeah. So we can share that link on this podcast. It's
Okolie, Dare to Change Your Life. You know, it was #1 seller at the time when it first came out, so I might give it another little push.
We can push it on this podcast.
Yeah, agreed. And hopefully, we win a third world title and then we do, a sequel.
Good. Well, I wish you all the best in your career. Thank you so much. Now, what about... I'm in property. I'm a real estate expert. Yeah. I buy properties all across the country. I've got an office in Mayfair. I've got one in Edinburgh, one in Manchester, one in Birmingham. Right. So I'll go and buy a building. I'll put a block of flats there and sell it. Yeah. So if I buy something for 10 million, develop it for another 10, sell it for 30.
Nice.
Now, because now we're friends, I want to help you when you retire to get into property.
Got that.
So let's say, for example, if you're making money in boxing, You go and buy properties with it. You're from London, buy loads of property in Brixton and rent it out. Because one thing, property will always go up.
Yeah.
And then you have that same income, because I've seen a lot of athletes decline. So let's say if an athlete's worth 100 million, he spent it on going out, partying, fancy watches, flash cars. You want to maintain that same lifestyle, if not get it better. Because you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Do you buy property at the moment or not?
So no, the stuff that we've sort of worked on is more like F&B and like services. So we now got the license for Circle K, which is like a convenience store. So we're popping those up. We're conduct do 30 of those.
Yeah. Where those are in London?
So in Dubai, we got them in Dubai, and we obviously have to hit the target of 30 of those. So I think I completely agree with you, and I think that, you know, with this next chapter, I'm hoping to sort of branch more out into the property stuff, because there is, you know, the reality, everything you just said there is exactly what we've sort of gone through, which is like, you get used to a certain level of lifestyle, you get used to this flight, everyone around you gets used to a certain lifestyle, and then when that lump sum's not coming from a fight, what do? No one wants to reduce their lifestyle. So definitely, I agree with you, you know.
So just buy distressed property, add value to it.
Yeah, but you know what? It's good that obviously you and me are chatting here now, because it's something I've always liked, but, you know, with certain stuff I've been apprehensive about getting involved, because, you know, if I'm not an expert in something, unless I have someone who I trust that's an expert, I'm gonna sort of shy away from it. Do you know what I mean? So
I'm the expert, so I can be a mentor.
That's what
so buy something distressed. Recently, I just, for example, bought a house in Kensington. It was worth 2 million. Paid 1.1 for it.
Nice.
I'll spend £500,000 quid on it. It'll be worth 3,
nice.
and I'll just rent it out. And the reason why I went for a house, because you have a flat, you have service charge, ground rent, and then also you can't Airbnb it in London, as you know, you're from London. Yeah. But in a house, you don't have those questions. No service, no ground rent. So my advice to you, just keep on buying property. You'll never go wrong.
Yeah, no, I've heard.
And property heads you win, tails you don't lose.
Say them.
Heads you win, tails you don't lose.
Okay, so no matter what,
because if you're holding it, you're going to go up.
Yeah.
Everybody needs somewhere to live.
Agreed.
Like we need food to eat. Somebody needs a roof over their head.
Facts. Yeah. No, I agree. I do completely agree, and I think
so. When you're ready, we'll have a meeting about that.
I am. We'll have all the necessary parties are in this room already. So
exactly.
Why not? Yeah.
But it's a pleasure, Dr. Lawrence, to interview you.
Thank you.
You're a very humble, down-to-earth guy.
Thanks,
and I pray that God gives you ultimate success in everything you do.
Amen.
You become a bigger world champion than Usyk, and God keeps you safe and protected.
I love that, man. Thank
and
you.
Also, you become richer than Mayweather in boxing.
Let's go. This is the sort of thing I need, these sort of blessings and positivity. Thank you for that.